Heyo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. We're here to recap a White Sox win. The White Sox win 11-4 in Anaheim. Great pitching from Johnny Cueto, and the bats exploded, even though it took a couple innings for them to get warmed up. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's a CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow the man in the middle at Ecknerwall23. His name's Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
He is the CHGO White Sox community leader. Sox win 11-4. We're really not in the groove for some reason today.
A little more pep in Herb's step tonight after the big offensive performance.
It's 11-4 and it's 12:03. So you're getting as much energy as we could possibly muster right now. It was an interesting game. It was really kind of deflating in the first part when the White Sox weren't hitting, and then the White Sox hit, and then it kind of just got long. I don't know what you made of this game, Herb and Vinny, but what'd you make of the game?
I thought initially the White Sox just were having not poor bats, just mediocre bats versus this guy who started the game. Now I can't even remember his name. It's such a long time ago.
Chase
Silseth.
Oh, my God. Someone responded when he was dominating earlier. Someone responded to some tweet I sent calling him Cy Silseth.
Ooh.
And I'm like, his name is already hard enough to say. Let's not throw that other S in there. Come on.
Cy is a better name than Chase, though.
They could not see that guy early.
What? Cy?
Yeah.
You would name a kid Cy today.
Over Chase.
You'd name a kid Cyrus.
Versus Chase? Yeah.
No.
Cyrus Anderson.
Cyrus is way cooler than Chase Anderson.
I don't know if I don't.
Chase Anderson was a Brewers pitcher, wasn't he?
I mean, I'm not here. I'm not here defending the name Chase, but I'm very much not defending the name Cyrus.
Oh, Cyrus. And also, I mean, it's 2 letters. It's Cy. I don't know. Cy Silseth, though.
But I'm glad the White Sox eventually got to Mr. Silseth. I was very upset when you got the home runs all in that inning versus Velasquez, then Trout and Ohtani. You know, you're going to give up home runs to Trout and Ohtani, and you're going to give up home runs. Make them solo shots. Johnny Cueto was struggling in that inning. All the rest of the innings, got through 6, was smooth. Gave up 7 hits, 6 innings. Another quality start for Johnny Cueto. So that was good, giving the team a chance to win. And then the bats just woke up. And I and Vinny can attest this. I was shitting on Leury Garcia's at bat. I was like, this guy is crap. It's a 2-0 count. Why is he late? What a bum. Leury Garcia single starts the whole rally. So I'm sorry, King Leury. I apologize. You started this. 11-4 is because of Leury Garcia in that inning. So bow to Leury Garcia. I will never question you again. Yes, I will.
Ha.
I like King Leary, kind of like King Lear. I like that. You know, we've used an overused Leary legend. I like King Leary, but you know, kind of a weird game like you were mentioning. Tim Anderson leads the game off with a hit against Cy Silseth, and then until the top of the 4th inning,
showing off now.
The White Sox.
You're not going to make it through an ad read later, but you can say Cy Silseth really quickly.
Hey, the 0-1. The 0-1's in the second read, so I have a couple times to figure out which one's the W and which one's the Y. But in the top of the 4th, Luis Robert gets a double, but that was after Cy Silseth sits down 11 straight White Sox. It was pretty shocking to see him have so much success against this team, and they were hitting the ball hard, and then it finally just started breaking open in the 5th inning. But before we get to that part, the bottom of the 1st, there was a scary moment. Taylor Ward flew out to center, Trout grounded out to first, and then Ohtani doubled. And we saw there was a moment there where it looked like Johnny Cueto's back possibly flared up on him. And it was like, oh no, what do the White Sox even do in this moment if Cueto goes down? Because Cueto's been fantastic. I want to go to the stat from Chris Kampka. This was obviously after tonight, but Johnny Cueto, now 7 starts of 6+ innings pitched, leading the team, 6 innings tonight, and we'll talk a little bit more about this stat later and the kind of the sync of this team, but Cueto's been huge for this team, and the idea of losing him, especially in the 1st inning, was scaring the hell out of me. He finished the game off looking strong. I don't know what you guys have made of Johnny Cueto's tenure here as a White Sox starter, but it's been impressive.
I'm getting a nice insight into White Sox fandom here tonight, I believe, because we have started the show talking about how good Chase Silseth was and Johnny Cueto almost getting hurt. This is what in the industry we call burying the lead, guys. 11 runs, 17 hits. The bats finally came to play. My goodness, the White Sox. Holy smokes. Who is this team all of a sudden? Listen, I mean, they kept saying it on the broadcast. Absolutely true. They needed a game like this, right? I mean, smokes, they scored 8 runs in 4 days against the last-place Baltimore team. Looked, they had some timely hits last night in the first game in Anaheim, but only mustered 3 runs. This is what this lineup is supposed to do. This is what this lineup is built to do, and we haven't seen it for 3 months. And listen, one night of good offensive production doesn't mean they'll be any good tomorrow against Shohei Ohtani, right. But this is a much-needed game for the White Sox. If they're going to turn this around, if the so-called, the much ballyhooed back of the baseball cards are going to happen, it's going to be like this. This is how they're going to do it. They have to realize, I mean, I'm sure they know, but that they are built to be a really, really good offensive team, and they need to have really, really good offensive nights like tonight. Luis Robert needs to keep hitting the ball 450 feet. Josh Harrison is on fire, but, Jose Abreu with a couple extra base hits today. Yoel Moncada comes back, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. This is the White Sox offense that needs to show up on a regular basis if they're going to get out of this hole.
Yeah, my bad on burying the lead there. The only 2 starters that didn't get a hit for the White Sox, Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets for your White Sox today. But, it was just kind of, I bring up the idea of Cueto in that first inning and then, going to the third inning where he gives up 3 home runs. You mentioned it, them getting to 3 runs, the White Sox, was a struggle. So in that third inning, after that third inning, you're looking at that 3-0 deficit like,
and the way
can they come back?
And the way it came, too.
Right.
I mean, Johnny Cueto's been pretty good, very good this season for the White Sox. To give up 3 homers in the span of 4 batters, I mean, if I told you that happened to any pitcher in baseball over the course of the season, you'd say, oh, they probably lost that game. They were probably short for that game. Johnny Cueto managed to lock it down after that inning, and you're right, he's been very good for them. But the main thing there is just keeping the Angels where they were, right? Because, I mean, when it comes to Johnny Cueto, all we've heard from Tony La Russa all year, and it's absolutely true, is he gives this team a chance to win. He's done it basically every time he's taken the mound for them this season, and even on a night where he gives up 3 homers in 1 inning, he manages to give him a chance to win tonight, and, of course, they ended up scoring 1 billion runs, so they didn't. He didn't need to be on his A game tonight, but he managed to do so anyway.
Right, and Herb, I saw some people saying, Johnny Cueto is he the 3rd starter now or something like that. He's still the 5th starter, and he's doing a quality job of what a 5th starter should do. We consistently say, give us 6 innings of 3 earned run ball. That's what he gave you tonight. Let's look at the pitching line. 6 innings pitched for Johnny Cueto tonight. 98 pitches total for him. 3 earned runs, 7 hits allowed, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. Cy Silseth, 4 1/3, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 0 walks, and 6 Ks. But Cueto kept them in the game, and again, top of the 5th, still pitching. And like Vinny mentioned, Zavala doubled, scoring Yuri Garcia. Then Josh Harrison hit a homer, made it 3-3. And then the White Sox didn't stop when Luis Robert hit a homer, 448 feet out to center, gave the Sox the 5-3 lead. And right there, that was the game-winning run in the top of the 5th inning, and the Sox didn't look back. What kind of energy or what kind of possible momentum could this build on? Or is it like Vinny said, maybe the offense just doesn't show up tomorrow against Shohei Ohtani?
That is what it happens. Like Shohei Ohtani shows, the White Sox are right back to square one. It's good to have this type of offensive output right here. 2 5-run innings is very, very unusual for this White Sox team. But tomorrow, Shohei Ohtani could just go out and give you 9 innings of no-hit ball versus the White Sox. And I'm not kidding. He can do that. But also you have the other guy going on the bump, Michael Kopech. So that has to feel good for the White Sox. And maybe, like we're talking about with Dylan Cease, you see the good stuff early and he's like, give me 2. I need 2. Or see a couple more pitches from Shohei Ohtani so he gets chased so we can get to that Anaheim bullpen. We saw that. Ooh, friends, let's eat. Mm-hmm. Delicious. Well, I love that Anaheim bullpen. Let's keep on doing that. I know Tepera and Raisel Iglesias didn't pitch tonight, but please give me those guys, the Loops and all those guys, because the White Sox will crush those hitters. And it was good to see them finally get to Silseth, too. Like, he was cruising early, and I was like, uh-oh, here we go. And then the home runs happened to Johnny Cueto, and I was like, okay, we're just going to be losing to a lackluster team again, and a pitcher that we've never heard of before who's gotten hit his last couple times. He just came up from AAA, and this guy's going to shut us down. But the White Sox responded big time. But, yeah, it's good to have the confidence of this game, 17 hits, 11 runs, but it doesn't mean anything tomorrow.
Right.
Shohei Ohtani's going to come up, and he's going to be really tough on the White Sox. And they just have to have what they did today, just be patient, understand what Shohei's throwing out there, and maybe don't get into those deeper counts as they did early in the season, where they were really more aggressive early in the count. Because he's, as you saw on the graphic of the TV, he strikes out like 33% of his people he faces. So you don't want to get into an 0-2 count or a 1-2 count with Shohei Ohtani.
Right, in about 68 innings pitched this year, he's got 90 Ks. But you mentioned the idea the more they saw Silseth, the harder and harder those hits got. Even in the fourth inning when they didn't score any runs, Andrew Vaughn hit 100-mile-per-hour line out. Luis Robert hit a double that was 113 miles per hour. Abreu hit a grounder that was 100 miles per hour. Gavin Sheets grounded out at 107 miles per hour. And then you see Leary with a hard hit single for 95 miles per hour. Sebi drove him in with a 97-mile-per-hour double. And then Josh Harrison hit a homer that was 102. Tim Anderson hit a single that was 105. So the White Sox really started just really rolling at that point.
And I asked this on Twitter, why do people throw strikes to Luis Robert? We saw him that first at bat. Looks as bad as can be. Just sliders outside the zone. He was flailing everything. I would never throw him a strike. Ever. Why would you throw him a strike, especially after that first at bat? Because he absolutely destroyed that ball. It's a slider that was just middle in, crushed. That's what he does. Don't throw him strikes. And, you know, as a White Sox fan, I'm glad you guys are dumb. I'm glad the scouting report is thrown away at the beginning of the game. Because the man, when he gets the ball in the zone, for the most part, will hit the ball really hard. So American League teams, keep on doing some stuff if you keep on doing that right down the middle of Luis Robert. Just throw him balls. Like Andrew Vaughn late in the game, he was like flailing at those balls. It's like, did they switch bodies?
Yeah.
It's like, what happened? It was like vice versa.
Well, and two, I mean, you saw the way that Silseth was using his slider versus Robert. I mean, he just looked really rough in that early part of the game. And Ortega, I mean, tried to follow that up and just, you know, completely missed on that slider that was hit for a double. And then the home run, the four-seam fastball that got taken out to deep dead center. Incredible.
Reminded me of those two home runs that Luis hit in 2020. The one in Kansas City, Herb, that you bring up all the time that, you know, went, I think, over I-70. And then the one, obviously, in the playoff game in Oakland that, you know, he hit all the way to the other side of the bay.
487 off Mike Fiers.
And that home run tonight reminded me of it. And you go and you watch Luis Robert and you go, oh, that's why. That's why we've been talking about this guy so much. That's why he was a preseason MVP pick for a lot of folks. He can do that, and he can carry a team. And when you stick him in the middle of that lineup, when it is clicking on all cylinders, you got a team that other pitchers do not want to face, and that's what this White Sox team is supposed to be. That's what Luis Robert is supposed to be. We haven't seen it for 3 months, but when they do this, they can really make some noise, and it gives you some confidence, or at least it might not give you confidence because you watch the other 72 games, right? But it shows you that there is a reason why Rick Hahn and Tony La Russa and the players keep saying, just wait, they'll do it, they'll hit it, we know they're going to do it, because that's in there. You saw it tonight. You know that they can do this.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the sink. Let's go back to the pitching staff there from Chris Kampka, because we talked about this yesterday, the lack of sink. You get a good outing from Dylan Cease on Sunday, and you only score 4 runs, and it's like, you maybe want to give him a little bit more of help there. And you look at Kopech and Lynn, games where the Orioles, the Lynn one, they ended up scoring 6, the Orioles, but Kopech, I think they only scored 4 against him. Kopech gives you 6 innings. Lynn gives you 6 2/3. Cease gives you 7 innings. Giolito last night, he gives you 6 innings. Cueto gives you 6 innings. And then you see tonight, you get 11 runs. And you see how easy it is to just blow out a sub-500 Angels team. I don't know if the sink is there, but I think it's really good to see that depth from that starting pitching. You have been missing that this entire year, and then to have an outburst like this, 11 runs, it's exciting for the Sox.
Well, it shows you how easy things can be for a team with this much talent, right? I mean, there are nights, I'm sure there have been a whole ton of them, for the Houston Astros and the New York Yankees, and the Los Angeles Dodgers that look like this. Mm-hmm. And the White Sox want to be one of those teams. They want to be one of the best teams in baseball. They have the roster and the talent to do it. They have not done it so far this season. But imagine if they get going. This is what games can look like on a regular basis. It's not, they finally scored 7 runs, but the pitching wasn't there to back it up, and so now it's the 9th inning, and it's 7-6, and everybody's sweating bullets because you don't know what's going to happen. Or, oh man, what a great pitching performance. They only gave up 2 runs. The offense went quiet, and it's 2-0, and you can't have it. If they do this on a regular basis, which is what the best teams in baseball do, then all of a sudden how is this happening when X happens, why does Y happen? Then it's just out the window, and you get some easy wins, which have been very hard to come by for the White Sox this year. You can probably count on one hand the number of easy wins that they've had.
Well, and it felt, too, like we kept referring to the game in the first series against Detroit on that Sunday where they scored 10 runs. And it's like, when are they going to score 10 runs again? And then they had to face Detroit again to finally score 10 runs. And then, hey, we get another game where they score 10 runs. It feels like the offense is coming alive, and the numbers show that at least in April, this White Sox team scored 3.2 runs per game. In May, they scored 4 runs per game. And so far in June, including this game, 5.2 runs per game. So, at least there is something there where the stats are saying, hey, maybe they're coming alive.
Well, they had that nice stretch, obviously, of I think it was 3 or 4 series in a row. I think if you even include the Toronto series last week, mm-hmm. in which the bats were looking good, yeah. and that was fine. And, you were like, weather heats up, bats heat up. It makes sense. Then Baltimore comes to town, and it's back to square one a little bit with the not being able to score any runs. You saw it again last night. Now tonight is going to make a big difference. Going to make a nice dent in that run differential, which of course they started this road trip still at minus 50 something. That's going to go down pretty good to
minus 45.
Or up, I guess. Yeah, it's what would you say? Down? It goes up. What is it doing? It's negative.
It went up.
It goes up.
It'll go up.
Yes.
Because they're up towards zero.
It'll go up to negative 45, apparently. And that's the right direction. But, again, it's about consistency. They don't need to score 11 runs every night, but they got to not have 5-game stretches where they only scored 2.
Well, and White Sox fans, and I think the White Sox wouldn't be mad if they scored 11 every night. It just might be unrealistic.
I'm just saying they can turn this thing around without scoring 11 runs a night. You're already asking a lot of this White Sox team to come back from what happened. Now you're going to ask them to score 11 runs a night. That's not going to happen.
It'd be nice.
And common denominator. I know the first game was Yohan was still on the IL, but the 5-for-5 game, they scored a bunch of runs. Yohan today, 2 RBIs, batting in the 6th position. This team, when they put everything together where they just have 2 guys not getting hits, they can do this all the time, as Vinny says. Like, when I was talking in the pregame and people were looking at him, when we're watching the DVD at the end of the year, this championship DVD,
wow,
this is it.
Not only that, Herb, you're still buying DVDs?
My fiance buys a lot of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Courtney, what are you doing?
I don't know why.
She goes to Walmart and gets the bin, the giant bin, and the
$5 DVDs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's
the bench warmers?
That's the last DVD that was
purchased. It's a good DVD.
Her favorite movie, I think, is
Hoodwinked.
What is that?
That's isn't that? I don't know.
Okay, but yeah, she likes DVDs. We haven't watched one in our whole life together, but we have a lot of DVDs. But yes,
it just looked like something that would be on sale at Walmart for $5.
That looks like a terrible movie.
Yeah, it probably was.
But this is what I'm talking about. Like, we got great pitching. We've been getting great pitching all season long. Now the offense is starting to catch up. We got Yohan Moncada back from the IL. We're going to get Eloy Jimenez eventually back from the IL. Everything's going to come together. I mean, Yasmani Grandal eventually will come back. And if he's the guy that showed up last year, as it looks like Gavin Sheets is the guy that showed up after he went down to the minors last year, this offense is unlimited. Maybe not as good as the Yankees, but close in that range. I mean, did we not think that they were going to be a great offensive team? I know the Yankees are far and away the best. But I think the White Sox are in that realm.
The Yankees have 70 more runs scored than the White Sox. So
Yes.
I don't know if they're...
It's a lot.
Yes, but I'm saying we've known that they've underachieved. We don't have the home runs as the Yankees do. But this team can put up runs. At the end of the year, you're going to look up and you're like, okay, we're finally executing.
Yeah, when the season started, the lineup was stacked.
Yeah.
And all those players when healthy are still there, are still in that lineup.
Yes.
And that's what it comes down to. Because even right now, the guy that you thought, or that everybody thought, was going to be the number one weak link, Josh Harrison, is tearing the cover off the ball right now.
Well, let's go to the Josh Harrison stats because he did end up leading the White Sox in RBIs today. He had 3 RBIs. He did hit the first home run for the Sox, and our producer, Stephen Nicholas, put this graphic together. Since June 5th, Josh Harrison in 16 games is batting .365, .423, .538. He has 10 runs, 2 home runs, and 10 RBIs. Definitely has turned it around. And this was the big addition that you thought the Sox needed to make this offseason was second base. This is who the White Sox were expecting to show up. I mean, this is all-star second base level playing.
It's 3 weeks.
Yes.
That's
16 games.
That's 3 weeks, 16 games of the whole season. So, obviously keep that in mind. But that's a good point, right? I mean, it was how in the world are they going to find somebody to get some production at second base? They sign Josh Harrison, and you go, okay, Josh Harrison's fine. He's probably not going to be tremendous, but listen, right now he's the hottest hitter on the team, and that is exactly what they needed, was a guy that could boost that spot in the lineup. Now, is that going to carry on for the rest of the season? We'll see. Probably not at those levels, but you want him to be good because, again, as we keep mentioning, everybody else in that lineup should be expected to do that. Right. To have stretches like that, like we're on that graphic. Certainly, you've gotten great seasons from TA. You've gotten great season from Abreu. Andrew Vaughn has been mostly really, really good. It's time to start seeing that from Luis Robert, like you saw tonight. It's time to start seeing that from A.J. Pollock. It's time to start seeing that from Yohan Moncada. When Eloy comes back, you want to see some of the Eloy that you thought you were going to get, the guy who you thought was going to be slam dunk for 30 home runs and then, go toward 40. It's not going to happen because of the playing time, but you want to see the guy that can do that kind of thing. Won a Silver Slugger 2 years ago.
Well, and hey, people were calling for Josh Harrison to be DFA'd, in May. Now people are calling for Leury Garcia to be DFA'd, and he goes 2 for 4. So, hey, who else are we going to just, reverse jinx here by saying let's designate them for assignment? Dallas Keuchel just struck out 7. So.
You kind of reverse jinxed Jose Abreu at the beginning of the season.
It's true.
Because you're a hater.
He had such a down year after his one MVP season.
Such a down year where he almost won the RBI crown again.
Right. I wasn't trying to be too harsh. I just said that he was getting older. That's all, folks. I'm so sorry for being an ageist. The best way to support my ageism is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO Locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from CHGO Locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. PointsBet's your home for live in-play betting, and it's just got even better. If you see an edge in the game you're watching, or if your favorite team is primed for a comeback, don't just watch the game, bet along with it live. More live betting, more live markets, and faster live cash outs with PointsBet. Again, download the PointsBet app right now and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll get a free CHGO membership. So what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life at PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services. And our next product is a game changer and has helped thousands of people to help improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic, broad-spectrum CBD. CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it offers real benefits that can help you. It can help you feel alert and focused without the jitters. It can help you live your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pains. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy a more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. I know Herb was kind of itching for some Strava CBD coffee when he came in today. He was looking for something to drink, and I mentioned Strava CBD, and he was like, man, we're out of it. So, I felt bad for
Damn
Herb.
CHGO people just taking all the Strava here.
Hey, it's good.
Jerks.
And when it's around, you got to grab it. Strava is all about quality. Everything is in small batch, fresh and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated full-spectrum CBD tinctures for those looking for a more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage effects of benefits. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase when you use code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at Strava, STRAVA, craftcoffee.com. When you use code CHGO25 at checkout, discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only, one use per customer. And if you already love Strava, subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. With Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule. The first ad read, fine. Second ad read is where we'll run into troubles. Our guy Steven Garrett with a super chat. If Sevy keeps this up, what happens when Yaz comes back? Is McGuire out of options? I love that this question's being asked. I do want to go to, I think it's Sox Haps, who had a great stat about the White Sox first time since 2014 where they've had 5 players with 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Sebi Zavala, who Steven has the super chat, was one of those players. Yohan Moncada had 2 hits and 2 RBIs tonight. Sebi had 2 hits and 2 RBIs tonight. Josh Harrison, who we mentioned, had 2 hits and 3 RBIs tonight. Robert, 3 hits and 2 RBIs. And Jose Abreu, 3 hits and 2 RBIs.
How about that? 8 years apart, Abreu was in both of them.
Oh, look at that. That's not too shocking. But Diane Viciedo, also not shocking. The greatest hitter of our lifetime. But
he's killing it in Asia.
He is.
Yeah.
He's
like a Hall of Famer he's in Japan, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
He's like a Hall of Famer over there. He's been going at it for years.
I think it might be Korea.
Is he in Korea?
I think.
One's the MPB. I think that's what it is.
That's Japan.
I think it's that one.
Okay.
He plays for the I should not say this. It's the NBP. NPP.
That's Japan.
Yeah, so he's over in Japan right now. To Sebi, though, in Steven's super chat. What if Sebi keeps this up right now? Sebi is hitting 289.
Keeps getting almost thrown out at second base.
300, 474.
Stop it.
Almost
Sebi.
identical to the play yesterday that we said we were going to bring up but never brought up. But almost getting picked off at second base, but still hitting. I mean, Sebi, what do we think?
Maurice McGuire has no more options, and
that's why the trade happened.
Yes, and additionally, Maurice McGuire, I think, is a better backup catcher. Sebi's hitting the ball off the cover, doing a great job. I applaud him, but you have options, and I think Maurice McGuire is the better backup option for the White Sox there.
This one I actually think is kind of interesting. I do think you're right. Obviously, you play with the roster as long as you have the ability to, and there's nothing saying you can't bring Sebi back in a couple of weeks if you were to send him down. But at the same time, you're not getting a lot out of the catcher position, especially from Yaz, disappointingly. But is Reese McGuire a guy that you need to keep around? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. He's a guy they like. They have rave reviews for what he does defensively. They're very happy with how he's working with the pitching staff, and that right there is enough to keep him around. But if the White Sox are trying to score runs, if the White Sox are trying to chase down the Twins and the Guardians in front of them, I don't know. Sebi Zavala, we'll see. Sebi Zavala's had a shot before. This is not like it's the first time he's come up and been given a chance, and you have an ample sample size, which is trickier to say than it might sound, of what to do with him. But I think Reese McGuire is going to stick around, no doubt about it, for a while. But certainly Sebi has played himself into an awful lot of playing time lately, and I think deservedly so.
Well, and I think also, if all things being equal, if the White Sox had their perfect situation, Yasmani Grandal is a switch hitter, but he hits better from the left side. So when you give him a day off, you get a guy who's from the right side, especially for a tough lefty. And Sebi's been doing well with the bat. So, yeah, that would be the ideal situation, but the fact that Reese has 0 options, and they probably will not get him through waivers, so they'll probably keep him over Sebi, who has options.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Sebi is the better catching when it comes to framing, according to Baseball Prospectus stat on that. Reese was in the top 10 really early on in the season when it came to framing, but I've just liked Reese as a defensive catcher. I think he's a better defensive catcher than Sebi, so it's really... I would rather have the defense just because the White Sox struggle in so many other places defensively, and Yaz is the highest paid free agent in White Sox history. It's not like you can get rid of that contract. So it is between Sebi or Reese here.
And quite often, too, that's what you're looking for in a backup catcher is defense first. I mean, you'll hear that from the manager, from the general manager. That's kind of what you're doing, especially when you got a guy in Grandal who's supposed to be so adept offensively. You definitely want to have as strong as a backup defensive catcher as you can.
And I want to know, would they carry 3 catchers? They did it last year for a good stretch of time. Would they entertain that? Because they don't have flexibility other than playing DH, first base, or catcher for the 3 guys.
I think it depends on how Yaz feels when he comes back from the injury, because I think Yaz's health could force that to be an issue. We saw how relatively infrequently Grandal was catching when he was healthy in the first portion of the season. That was expected to go up. He was expected to catch more and more as the season went along. But now he's been on the IL for a long time. He's still supposedly getting over that knee surgery that he had in the offseason. Maybe he becomes a DH, and not because of what anybody thinks of his defense, but just because what can he handle on a regular basis physically.
Well, and I think one thing, too, with the Grandal discussion is you want him to be at 100%. You don't want to rush him back and don't want to see him struggling and laboring like he was early on this year before they eventually put him to the injured list. But right now, I mean, I think Zavala and McGuire can hold fort. I mean, it's not like the catcher position has been struggling since Grandal is at the IL, and since May 22nd, McGuire's hitting 305, 359, and an OPS of 749, so that will play. I mean, when both of your catchers, Zavala and McGuire, have OPSs around 750, that's what Luis Robert's at right now. So, I mean, I am fine with the White Sox catching at this point. McGuire's been good behind the dish, and Zavala's been bad on the bases, but he's been pretty good with the sticks, and he's been fine defensively. So I'm okay with where the White Sox are at right now defensively, especially with catchers, and I don't think that the most important thing is, like Vinny said, is health. And as long as Grandal is healthy, then they'll probably get into what moves are best, but there's time and there's still options because Sebi still has options. Reese doesn't, but wait until the postseason. I mean, really, you can just, if you want to have the decision between Sebi and Reese, you can make that truly at postseason time. So I don't know if that's something you need to decide on right now. It's kind of like the Mendick, Harrison, and Garcia dilemma that we were having a couple weeks ago, and then unfortunately for Danny Mendick, that sorted itself out in the worst way possible. A super chat again from our guy Eli Stein. This is a super sticker. I don't know how that's different. Hippo character going really fast on his chair, propelling the chair across his room. So
you see this
I'm gonna need an explanation.
On YouTube, you will see it. To us, it just shows the explanation of what this sticker is.
I feel that's like a very detailed description of what this sticker is.
I was Googling it trying to figure out what that was. I'm like, is this a quote from something?
Well, hippo character.
It's a sticker.
The hippo doesn't have a name?
A hippo character. He's a character.
That's $10, $10 US, $10.42 to be exact.
Thank you for dropping that.
Is it? But again, this isn't a specific hippo. It's not Peter Potamus, so to speak.
It's Cyrus Hippo.
Oh, boy.
It's Chase Hippo.
I don't like that name for a hippo. It's not a good name for a hippo.
Hungry Hippo. Hey, I'm just like Ron Burgundy. You're going to put something up on the screen. I'm going to read it. I might read it wrong, but I will read it. Going into this game, though, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that sticks out in your mind. Like the Robert home run was impressive. The Harrison home run was impressive as well.
How about the Sammy Hop, too, on the Harrison home run? Mm-hmm. A little bit. It was there a little bit.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
Oh, yeah. He knew he got it. And that's the thing. I looked at you as like, Sean, it's 3-1. He should be looking dead red and should catch it and crush it. The White Sox have had so many opportunities, especially with Baltimore series, where balls were right there down middle and they would miss those pitches. He did not miss it. He absolutely crushed that pitch. And, yes, he gave a couple Sammy hops there. But I would look at the Moncada double there. That looked like vintage Yohan Moncada. That's good to see. He crushed that pitch, and he looked great. Spun on that ball and murdered that for a double. That's looking forward to Moncada doing that more often. And coming off the IL after that 5 for 5, it looks like his bat is still right there because he had 2 for 3 today, or 2 for 4, drove in 2 there, it's a good sign to see Yoel Moncada batting sixth, and that's a great thing. Like when Grandal and Aloy come back, where are they gonna hit? Like we're just gonna have people just good hitters hitting 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then maybe Josh Harrison, who's one of our hottest hitters, hitting 9th.
Well, and that's what Vinny was saying. I mean, early on in the season, before all these injuries were happening, it's like, oh, A.J. Pollock's batting 7th. I mean, this is such a deep lineup for the Sox. And you mentioned Moncada, that double, 102 off the bat. I mean, that's exactly what we were seeing in Detroit. And the thing that I like about it, it was Jaime Barria, and it wasn't off of the other guy that Mike Trout was literally rolling his eyes out in center field. Peguero ended up coming in. Elvis Peguero.
TCB, baby. He did not TCB tonight.
No, he did not. He comes out to Hound Dog. Apropos.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that's not his choice, but sure. I'm thinking the Angels stadium staff might have something to do with that.
They could have picked any other.
Well, they don't have to do it much longer. He's got a 14 ERA.
Well, yeah, he went 2 2/3 inning, 2 2/3 inning, 2/3 of it.
Yeah, you got it.
2/3 of an inning. Jesus Christ.
You got it.
2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 4 earned runs, and 2 walks, no strikeouts. And there's a video online. We can't show it, but Mike Trout is frustrated that he's tipping his pitches. He's like, pull in your glove. Like, he was clearly showing the White Sox what was happening. And this is something that I like to see because you could see it with the Yankees. We saw it with Boston last year with Lucas Giolito in the Patriots game, that the White Sox, I feel like, never take advantage of, like, pitchers who are truly tipping their pitches. We never really hear stories about that, probably because, if they have a secret on a guy, they really don't want to let that out. But it's nice to see the White Sox, and especially Mike Trout, take advantage of a guy who's tipping his pitches, a guy who's struggling out there. I feel like when you see Cy Silseth, who is, after 4 games with a 4.95 ERA.
You can say Cy Silseth, but you couldn't say 2/3 of an inning.
No, I couldn't say 2/3 of an inning. I don't know the difference between W and Y, but I do know how to say Cy Silseth. A guy coming in with a 4.95 ERA, like, the White Sox should be able to take advantage of him. And then through the first 4 innings, they have 2 hits. And it's like, what's going on here? The fact that they were able to take advantage of a clear advantage or a clear mistake by a pitcher, I love to see that. And that was a fun inning where they just ended up racking up run after run after run and ended up getting up to 9 runs by the end of this.
Well, and you asked what stands out, and you were like, oh, they hit those couple home runs. What else? But, I mean, what else is that they strung all those hits together, that they had stretches where there were 4 hits or 5 hits in a row, put 6 or 7 of 7 or 8 guys on in a row, and that's how you score runs. That's how you put up crooked numbers. I mean, heck, they had that one inning where they had the first 2 guys on base. They had it was a single and a double.
Yep.
I think Moncada and Leary, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and they had the bases loaded with the one out, and then TA hits into the double play, and it's like, that's what you've seen too much of from this White Sox team, not cashing in on those opportunities. Thankfully for them, they had 3-4 other innings tonight where they were able to go off against the opposing pitcher. Again, it comes back to what we've been saying throughout this whole show, which is that's what this team is capable of doing. That's what that team needs to do on a regular basis because they got a lot of wins to make up. They got a lot of runs to make up, as we talked about that run differential earlier.
59 more.
That's how they're going to do it.
59 more wins out of the next 89.
Hey, it could happen. And you mentioned, too, the top of the 6, that inning was extended by a Josh Harrison walk. The Sox ended up walking 4 times tonight, and the big 7th inning started with an Andrew Vaughn walk.
I had an odd Twitter response during the game. After
on Twitter? You had an odd response?
Yeah. Can you believe it? After TA hit it in the double play, a Twitter follower blamed Josh Harrison for walking. That had Josh Harrison put the ball in play, then that would have been better ahead of the double play. But he did not also specify whether putting the ball in play meant that he was going to get a hit.
Right.
So, like, if he gets out, then there's just 2 outs. He loaded the bases with 1 out for like a guy who hits 330.
For a guy that went 3 for 6. I mean, God. I mean, there's those people, though, that are so, like, anti-walk, that, like, a single is better than a walk. You get on first base either way.
Well, it's not in that situation you're arguing what's better or worse. A single would have scored 2 runs in that situation, sure. But the point being that, like, A walk is not bad. Like, the walk did not make Tim Anderson hit into a double play.
No, absolutely not.
And I love my man Paul Correct, but see, and we're talking about some people just have a thing for another person, and Paul Correct's saying, like, why are we giving this positivity for Moncada? He's had one good year in 3 years, and that was 3 years ago. Like, last year was a good year. I don't know what you guys are talking about out here. 263, he got on base 38% of the time. He walked a ton last year. He slugged 412, but it doesn't, like, he's not the hitter that you maybe thought he would be, but last year was a good year. He was a top 7 third baseman last year. Top 7 in the whole goddamn league.
That's real Bill Simmons of you to go
Like,
top 7.
Top 7.
Top 7.
Like, there's 30 teams.
Backing off on the top 5?
I mean, no, literally, I'm saying F4, if you're just checking if that's your stat, he was a top 7 third baseman. It wasn't a bad year. Like, I get mad at people who always come for Yoan Moncada, and he's had a bad year so far, but we know he's not this player. Come on, guys.
He's had a bad year so far. He's also been hurt the majority of this year as well. So I mean,
and also too, it's that expectations game, right? Like, it's not everybody on the team has to be the MVP to be a good contributor to the lineup, right? And I think Yoan Moncada got stuck into a situation where everybody was like, oh, future MVP candidate, he better be that every single year. Right. And you can still be good and not be the best player. I mean, right?
Last year, there was 10 players, I think 10 players that had 80 or more walks. He was one of those players. He does something
that's very, very good.
That's something that he does at an elite level and plays great third base defense.
I would say he was one of the 6 best hitters on a team that won the division.
Well, and what's important for Jose Abreu to win RBI crown after RBI crown is guys getting on base. I mean, Yoan Moncada used to get on base, like Herb said, at a 38% of the time. There's not a single hitter right now that I think, outside of maybe Tim Anderson, has an OBP above 380.
Like, I'm just saying, like, if Yoan Moncada is 2021 Yoan Moncada for the rest of his career,
please,
that's not bad for the White Sox.
Mark me down for that.
That's maybe not what you thought he was going to do, but it's not like that's bad for the White Sox.
He was a positive hitter. He was a great defender last year. Mark me down for that last year, and what everybody thinks, or most people think, is a disappointment for Yoan Moncada's career. Like you said, yes, give me that.
It's a completely different run environment in baseball that they're playing with this year. But if Yoan Moncada had a 375 OBP, he'd have the second highest OBP in the lineup tonight. Tim Anderson is the only one that has a higher OBP at 382. So I don't know. And I do see people now saying that the White Sox shouldn't load the bases.
Well, that's just...
I don't know about that. But walks are great. Sox probably shouldn't load the bases, though, because every time they don't get a run in, and then Sox Haps put up a stat in there. I think it's at 10 for 57. The White Sox
not
are
good
with bases loaded. Yeah, but I think things like that change throughout the season.
You would imagine, yeah, right. Get more hits. That's how you improve.
They used to be over for bases loaded. Now they have 10 hits. So
yeah, there you go.
It's getting better, guys.
Well, and to the White Sox, I mean, we saw this from NBC Sports Chicago, Chuck Garfien in his little WebEx by Cisco hit, he informed us that the White Sox have the highest batting average on the road this year. So, I mean, they are getting hits.
Shocking.
Yes. The one thing they're not doing is walking. And they walked 4 times today and score 11 runs, which I don't think is too much of a coincidence. Got to let you know about our good friends over at Owen. I've been trying to get this ad read right as possible, as close as possible as I can. Have to tell you about Owen, which stands for Only What You Need. Owen is a 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works as hard as you do. All of their proteins are free of artificial ingredients, allergen-friendly. They have no gluten or dairy, and they're easily digestible. I've been moving this past week, and on Monday I went back to my old apartment, and I was moving boxes back and forth, in and out to the car, filling up my car, and I really needed a snack to get me through that hour drive up I-90, and my strawberry banana Owen just got me through it, and it was delicious tasting. It was cold, it was refreshing, and it gave me back all of the energy that I exerted in that move. And I first heard about Owen from Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields, who follows a plant-based diet. Owen and Chicago have partnered up to give you an awesome offer. You can get 20% off your first purchase at liveowen.com. That's LIVEOWEN.com. OWYN.com with code CHGO20. Join me and Justin Fields and try Owen. Only what you need. And this one I can pronounce. It's CHGO. Got to let you know about CHGO. This is the CHGO White Sox postgame show coming to you every day, live every day. We have podcasts, whether it be a pregame show, a postgame show, a pre and postgame show. On Thursday at 2 p.m., we'll have a live show on the White Sox off day. You get all of that for free. We want you to be a part of our community for free. We want you to be able to be in the chat like Courtney is. And thank you, Happy Moving, from Courtney. You helped me pick my movers, and my movers were fantastic. And shout out to Herb and you for sending along the recommendation. But you also can get premium written content for members at All CHGO. There is another level. You can get all the free podcasts and free live shows, but you can become a member at allchgo.com, and members get, first off, a free shirt when they sign up. So you're going to get dope merch to add to your closet. You get access into the members-only Discord. We call that the CHGO Lounge, and we were talking to White Sox fans during the game today in that Discord. And you get premium written content for members, and that's premium written content from Vinnie Duber, from Jared Willis, who writes for the Cubs and White Sox beat, Ryan Herrera, who writes for the Cubs beat. You can check out all of their fantastic work, their weekly work at All CHGO when you become a member. And again, members get a free shirt, access to the Discord, and fantastic articles. So come help support CHGO and become a member. We want to learn your name, learn your face, and learn how much of a passionate White Sox fan you are. So go to allchgo.com to become a member if you aren't one yet. All right, let's talk about tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be a big day.
Today?
Well, I guess today. Thank you very much. Let's talk about
It's been today for a while, too.
49 minutes of it so far. Let's talk about tomorrow briefly, or tomorrow. I really cannot.
You know what
Let's
it is?
talk about
you know what it is? An hour? It took you were sitting on the Ryan and the Kennedy for an hour to go from the south side to the north side.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Traffic.
It was not
This
fun.
city, my
Well,
goodness.
And also the express lane was closed. So, I mean, that probably would have eased
was it
my
flowing
day.
the other way?
It was flowing the other way. It was
just hate
going. It was going south instead of north. I needed to
It
go
always
north.
does it at the wrong time, too.
Exactly. And you just see all those people going as fast as they can in the express lane, and just like, well, why can't that be me? But
You should have just taken Western Avenue all the way.
I can, but that will take like an hour and a half.
It's the longest avenue in the world.
They
as
created
long as
a
you're
highway
moving.
for a reason. Tomorrow, Michael. Not tomorrow. Jesus Christ. The 7th game of the White Sox and Angels series will take place on June 29th at 8:38 p.m. It will be Michael Kopech versus Shohei Ohtani. Kopech has seen the Angels. He made his 2021 debut against the Angels coming out of the bullpen. He pitched 2 innings, allowing no hits, no earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. He also saw them another time, and that was just coming out of the bullpen. So I don't really know how to gauge Michael Kopech's career versus the Angels. Shohei Ohtani, though, he's made a start versus the White Sox. He wasn't great against them, 4 2/3 innings, and allowed a decent amount of runs for Shohei Ohtani. So the White Sox can hit left-handed pitching. Shohei Ohtani's a left-hander. He throws right.
He's right-handed.
Herb, what are you expecting versus right-hander Shohei Ohtani?
What day is this game?
June 29th.
All right.
I'm expecting
today.
and I saw Wayne earlier. It's like, Herb, you sound pessimistic about tomorrow. It's not pessimistic. I just don't think they're gonna score 11 runs off of Shohei Ohtani. It's gonna be a slog tomorrow. It's gonna be a game where you need to only score, or you're gonna only score 3 or 4 runs off the starting pitcher, if that's at the maximum. They played him last year at the beginning of the year. I remember that game. I think it was the 3rd start of the year. And, yeah, they got to him, but I am not confident that the White Sox, in current state and how he's pitching, will get a bunch of runs off of him. Hopefully they prove me wrong. Hopefully Lurie Garcia proves me wrong like he did today. Josh Harrison, all these guys out there who have been having good at-bats as of late, show Shohei Ohtani that they're not a fluke, and that today wasn't a fluke, that they can still hit top of the level pitching in Shohei Ohtani.
Well, and oh boy, that Shohei Ohtani game was the game that he hit the Dylan Cease home run off of. So that's why I kind of forget his pitching line that day. 4 2/3, 2 hits allowed, 3 runs, only 1 earned. But he walked 5 guys in that game, and he's just not that type of pitcher. That was the first start he made in 2021. He's an elite right-handed pitcher. He's got a sub-3 ERA. He strikes out 12 per 9. I think the White Sox might have a hellacious day, and it's kind of talking about that sink that the White Sox haven't been able to find. They found it tonight with Johnny Cueto going 6 innings and them scoring 11 runs, but going up against an elite right-hander, we've seen it work against Kevin Gausman and Justin Verlander, but the fact that he's got a great slider, the fact that he's got a blazing fastball, and the fact that he's got a disappearing split finger, I don't know if I love the White Sox chances tomorrow.
He's very good. He's the reigning MVP for a reason, but hey, you just mentioned it. They just beat up Justin Verlander a couple weekends ago. It's not impossible. That's why they play the games, right? And everybody that wins the Cy Young, everybody that wins the MVP, going to have plenty of bad days because baseball is 6 months. But listen, the White Sox had a really good night tonight, and they should be looking forward to continuing that momentum because we have seen them stitch it together for a little bit. It's going to need to be a lot longer than a little bit, but they have turned big games into continuations before. They're going to need to keep doing it in order to turn this thing around, and that includes against guys like Ohtani. Listen, they want to be the best. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And if they're gonna do this, they're gonna have to do it against good pitchers because they're not just going to be able to face the fifth starter on the Royals every game for the rest of the season.
Well, I was going to go into a little Ric Flair there. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Woo! It's the same idea, certainly.
And I was going to say too, I don't think the Royals or Tigers have a Shohei Ohtani, right? I mean, this might be one of the harder right. This might be one of the harder tests that you're going to face because a lot of AL Central teams coming up, and they really just don't have the pitching talent like a Shohei Ohtani. I know he's pretty unique, but just for guys with a sub-3 ERA, I think the only guy in the AL Central that has that is Tariq Skubal.
He's been really good.
He's been great.
Yeah.
So
he's probably been hearing our pronunciation of his name. That's why.
And he wants to keep himself in the league so he can keep hearing Skubal.
Skubal.
And just to update you too on those Minnesota on the AL Central, Cleveland lost today to the Twins. The Twins won 6-0. Actually, they split a doubleheader. Lost 3-2 and then 2-0. So right now the Sox are 6 back in the AL Central, 35-38. Cleveland's 37-34, 3 games back in Minnesota, who are 43-34. We'll talk about Shohei Ohtani and Michael Kopech more later tonight at 8 o'clock on June 29th, as we will have a live pregame show. It will be the Angels and White Sox deciding who wins the season series. It's a 7-game series, and right now the Sox and Angels both have won 3. So we'll see who ends up taking the series tomorrow. Kopech versus Ohtani. It will be Herb, Vinny, and I here for you on the pregame show at 8 o'clock and on the postgame show after the final out is made. You can follow Vinnie Duber on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. You can follow Herb Lawrence on Twitter at EctorWall23. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox. And again, we'll be back here tomorrow starting at 8 p.m. on the pregame show. Thank you, Stephen Nicholas, for producing, and thank you guys for hanging out with us late into the night here on Wednesday. But we appreciate you, Paul, Blank Name, Sox Hap, Josh, all you guys for hanging out and giving your support here on the live stream. We'll talk to you later today as the White Sox try to win the series versus the Angels. Thank you to Fleetwood Mac for their 1979 album, Tusk. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go White Sox.